They called her mom, but treated her like the help. Claire babysat their kids, cleaned their messes, and smiled through the insults. Until one day she snapped. And when her will was read, jaws hit the floor. This isn't just revenge, it's a masterclass in poetic payback. Claire Simmons had always been the glue that held her family together. A retired schoolteacher with a kind heart and a quiet strength, she spent her golden years caring for her grandchildren. Not because she had to, but because she loved them. But love, as she would learn far too late, was not always returned in kind. To her son and daughter-in-law, Claire wasn't a respected elder. She was free childcare, a maid, a background prop in their curated Instagram-perfect lives. They dropped the kids off without a thank you, left her cleaning up after their messes, and rolled their eyes when she asked for a weekend off. It wasn't just disrespect, it was erasure. But Claire, she wasn't done writing her story. What her family didn't know was that Claire had a secret, a quiet plan, and one unlikely ally, the shy, overlooked kid next door who reminded her what real kindness felt like. When Claire's final will was read aloud 5 years later, her ungrateful family expected a payday. Instead, what they got was a brutal wake-up call, and a legacy handed to someone they never saw coming. This is the story of the ultimate revenge. And one unforgettable woman. Claire had once been the backbone of her family, the keeper of cookies, holiday traditions, and long bedtime stories. Her life in suburban Ohio was quiet, filled with gardening, Sunday church, and trips to the library. After losing her husband Harold, Claire never expected to become anyone's burden. But she also never expected to be demoted from matriarch to unpaid babysitter. Her daughter, Denise, and son-in-law, Rick, moved in temporarily during a home renovation. 3 months tops, they'd said. That was 2 years ago. From the start, Claire noticed the subtle shifts, how her personal space became theirs, how her quiet mornings turned into chaos, and how her opinions were slowly disregarded like outdated phone books. She became the de facto babysitter to little Maddie and Max, expected to be available at a moment's notice. No thank you, no allowance. Just assumptions. Claire's days blurred into diaper changes and dishwashing. Her retirement, carefully planned and long deserved, was now a memory tucked between PB and J sandwiches. The worst part, Denise's tone had changed. "You're not doing anything anyway, Mom," she'd say when Claire dared express exhaustion. Once, when Claire declined to babysit because of a dentist appointment, Denise actually pouted. "God, Mom, it's 1 hour. Are your teeth more important than your grandkids?" Rick wasn't much better. He'd grunt a hello, occasionally mutter thanks, and then vanish into the garage to scroll his phone under the guise of working. The breaking point came one Tuesday afternoon when Claire overheard Denise on the phone with a friend. "She just sits around all day," Denise said. What else would she do if she wasn't watching the kids? She'd be lonely. Claire's hands froze mid-fold with Max's onesie. Lonely? Sits around? Excuse me? Claire found unexpected relief in small chats with 9-year-old Ben, the kid next door. Polite, curious, and full of questions, Ben had the kind of genuine interest that Claire hadn't seen in her own family for years. He'd wave when she gardened, ask for help with homework, offer to carry her groceries. Over time, he became a little ray of warmth in her increasingly cold household. Ben's mom, Carla, was a single nurse pulling night shifts, always apologizing when Ben chatted too long. But Claire loved it. He listened. He laughed at her old stories. He even asked about Harold, which made her heart ache in the best way. Claire's 75th birthday came and went. Denise gave her a $10 Starbucks card. Rick didn't even look up from his phone. The kids were too glued to iPads to notice. There was no cake, no dinner, no gathering. Not even a candle. But that evening there was a knock. It was Ben. He held a crumpled homemade card that read, "You're the coolest grandma on the block." Inside was a drawing of Claire with a cape. She cried. Not delicate sitcom tears. Deep, shaking sobs. That night, Claire made a decision that would shock everyone. Claire met with her lawyer, Mr. Hutchins, the next day. She had amassed a surprising fortune over the years. Harold's pension, her savings, and a smart investment in an old pharmaceutical stock. The house was paid off. Her assets totaled over $2 million. "I want to update my will," she said, voice clear. Certainly. What changes? He smiled a small wicked smile. I want to leave the majority of my estate to Ben Jacobs. Claire played the long game. She didn't rush. She kept smiling at family dinners. She continued babysitting without complaint. She even praised Denise for her great parenting. But in the background, she documented everything. Screenshots of texts, recordings of dismissive comments, a journal titled Asterisk, How My Daughter Turned Me Into a Ghost. She wanted no confusion after she was gone. One Saturday morning, Denise snapped. You forgot to pack Max's lunch again, she hissed. I didn't forget. I was at a doctor's appointment. Oh right, another one. You really do love excuses. Claire said nothing, but something inside clicked. That night, she began her final phase. She donated cherished furniture to Goodwill, canceled the family Netflix account, moved her jewelry into a safe deposit box. She began selling stocks, and she started writing Ben a letter. 3 months later, Claire passed quietly in her sleep. Denise was the first to find the envelope on the kitchen counter. It was addressed to whomever finds this. Inside was Claire's will. Ben Jacobs was now the beneficiary of her home, savings, and investment portfolio, provided he graduated high school and remained kind. Denise screamed. Rick demanded legal intervention. But Claire had covered every legal angle. The story exploded online. A grandma left her fortune to the neighbor's kid after being used as a babysitter. A local news team interviewed Carla and Ben. The footage of Ben crying into his mother's arms as he talked about Claire made the internet weep. Denise's social media was flooded with hate comments. You used your mom. She deserved better. Hope you enjoy that Starbucks card. Claire had the last laugh, and millions saw it. Ben graduated with honors, went to college on a scholarship, used part of Claire's estate to start a literacy nonprofit in her name. The Claire Foundation. Stories deserve to be heard. He visited her grave every year on her birthday, leaving a Starbucks card and a cape. Years later, Denise stood outside the old house, now a museum for the foundation. She whispered to the wind, I thought you had nowhere else to go. But Claire had known her worth. So was Claire the villain, or the quiet hero we all underestimate? If this story made you cheer, cry, or want to hug your grandmother, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because every senior has a story, and some come with a perfectly brewed cup of revenge. 5 years had passed since Claire made the boldest decision of her life, walking away from her entitled children and leaving her fortune to a boy most would have overlooked. And in those 5 years, everything changed. The garden Claire once tended now bloomed twice as wide in Tommy's backyard. He had grown into a compassionate, intelligent, and thoughtful young man, now a sophomore in college studying to become a geriatric nurse. His dream? To one day open a senior care center where no one felt forgotten or used, just like Claire had once felt. He still visited Claire's grave every Sunday, leaving a flower and a letter, updating her on his life. Her final message to him, etched into the headstone, read, You were never just a neighbor's kid. You were the kindness this world forgot to raise. As for Claire's biological children, Megan and Jordan's lives spiraled after the will reading. They fought in court, wasted money on lawyers, and eventually turned on each other. Jordan lost his second marriage. Megan went bankrupt trying to sustain her lifestyle without mom's ATM card. The local news had done a story on Claire's posthumous generosity, titled The Babysitter Billionaire, Why She Gave It All to the Boy Next Door. It went viral. The story inspired others. Donations poured into Tommy's future foundation. A publisher even reached out to him about writing a book about Claire. But here's the twist. Inside the chest Claire left in Tommy's name, beneath the papers and bonds, was a sealed envelope marked, Open on your 21st birthday. Tommy opened it on a cool spring morning. Inside was a handwritten letter. Tommy, if you're reading this, you've proven everything I believed about you. I know by now you've chosen your path, but I left something else behind. A small, quiet house in the Catskills, deeded to your name. No one knows about it but you. It's for rest, for retreat, for a future family perhaps, or just peace when life gets noisy. Love always, Claire. Tommy smiled through tears. Claire hadn't just changed his present. She'd carved him a future. And somewhere beyond, maybe Claire was smiling too. Clapperboard if you felt the chills, shed a tear, or just cheered a little inside. Do me one favor. Like, share, and subscribe for more senior citizen drama that prove age is just a number but revenge is eternal.